everybody. I hope you had dinner was good. You enjoyed it. The dessert that's being served is for a reason. We brought that in special. Mom is a chocolate-aholic, if you didn't know that. And so it has to be creamy chocolate. It can't be chocolate cake. She couldn't make it easy, like an easy chocolate cake. We had to get some mousse stuff in it, so whatever that is. And then the cherry.
Anything with Mom ever easy?
Yeah. So and then we had cherry pie, and if anybody's been around Dad at very length of time, cherry pie is by far my dad's all-time favorite. I just spent a week with him in Illinois, and we stopped at the Amish, in some Amish country, and the first thing he went for was the cherry pie. So and it happened to be good. That's good. So
how was the cherry pie?
It is super. Anyway, so tonight we hopefully have a lot of fun with us. We've got a little program we're going to do, and it should be a lot of fun. And this is in honor of our parents. And the great thing is about tonight is that, you know, when we get into our moments and have a few stories to tell and whatnot, my mom is sitting over there and she will not even get close to the mic to try to correct us. So this is going to be our versions of the stories, not hers. So that's the best part about this right now. So anyway, we're going to get started tonight and have a good time. And hopefully Mom and Dad realize that all this is done with a lot of love. There may be a few moments in there that if your faces don't turn red, I'll be a little scared. But anyway, oh, thank you. Tonight, we're going to be kind of interacting with these screens, and we realize these balloons are for decoration. So please feel free to either move those all the way off to the side, or you can actually pull them right out. Pull the balloons right out of the flowers and set them down so everybody can see the screen and isn't trying to look through that. It might be a little bit of a fog if you're trying to look through a gold balloon. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right, without further ado, we're going to get started.
All right. So my mother's way of punishing us when we were children was that she would just take everything we owned from us. She would just take stuff away. I'd show up in my room one day and something would be missing, and I would realize that I had done something wrong. She would let me guess what that was, but I would know something was wrong when I had no pants to wear. All right. You don't need to. I'm going to stand this far away. You cannot have a microphone. All right. So it all began the fall of 1963. A beautiful young 18-year-old.
Any ideas, Sam?
18-year-old Arbalyn Croshaw met an athletic. She's already read. That didn't take long. She met an athletic 22-year-old Stanley Lloyd Spicer. The magic happened at the Institute Library of Idaho State University in Pocatello, Idaho. Arbor was working on her math assignment. Stan was studying with his friend Taft, and Cupid was busy launching arrows of love into Stan's starry eyes. It turned out that Arva and Stan were taking the same math class. Arva remembered seeing Stan in her class because he would always come in 5 to 10 minutes late and walked with just a hint of a swagger which drove all the girls wild. Arva, the superior mathematician of the now infamous duo, claims she was struggling with a particular math problem and needed some help from none other than the dashing Stanley. When Stan and his friend Taft left the library, Taft told Stan he was going to ask Arva to the homecoming dance. Stan, who certainly wasn't going to be outmaneuvered by some guy named Taft, No offense to anyone here if your name is Taft. Slyly told his friend that he needed to go back into the library to get his pencil. Wink. And while doing so, he asked Arva Lynn to the dance. He probably started out by saying something like, "Hey there, darling. How'd you like to rock those baby blues to the homecoming fiesta with this here buckaroo?" And as no human can resist such poetic forging, Arva melted into a pool of dreamy sweet goo, and said something like, "Well, I guess since nobody else has asked, but you better pony up for a steak dinner." So in the end, Taft got the shaft, and Stan was the man. Christmas Eve of that year, just a short 2 months later, oh man, Stan surprised Arva with a marriage proposal. A stunned Arva, who was aware of her intoxicating effect on Stan, but wasn't aware of the overwhelming intensity of her lures, was not expecting such a gesture, since they had only been dating a couple of months. To make this proposal special, Stan burst the shackles of the commonplace and chartered a private jet to Paris, where he had arranged for a candlelight dinner for two at the peak of the Eiffel Tower. And at the last light of the setting sun, he unveiled the Hope Diamond mounted in an engagement ring, which cast the crowning light into a rainbow over the city as he confessed his love and uttered his proposal of marriage. When I proposed to my wife, I said, "So what do you think?" I did not learn well. So actually, that's Arva's version of the story. We found a top secret government recording of the events that reveal the true narrative. Stan took Arva from their little town of Pocatello to a nice restaurant in Idaho Falls that was behind the temple. The evening was wonderful and one for the memory books. Little did she know how big of a night it would be. After leaving the restaurant, they drove over to the front of the temple and stopped. And after a few minutes of visiting, one could only guess what they were talking about. Certainly not politics, because we all know what happens when you engage my mother in a conversation of politics. Stan reached over, opened the glove box, and asked Arva to remove a gift that was inside. She was mystified. She still wasn't thinking marriage, nor did she think Stan was either. But when she opened the box, there it was. The Hope Diamond mounted over the other string. Arva was in total shock. Stan was thinking, "Oh yeah, man." Arva remembers not feeling sure, but she didn't want to lose Stan either. And that Hope Diamond, that steak dinner was undeniably good. So Arva gave a pragmatic, yes, even in her youth, Mom was legendarily pragmatic, a contingent yes with the terms of having a long engagement so they could get to know one another better. Now, before they left on their date, Stan, always thinking 10 to 12 steps ahead, had brought Arva another present, which she had not opened. When they returned back to her home that night, it was full of family waiting for the announcement. Arva then opened the other gift Stan had brought. It was a stuffed hound dog with long ears and very sad eyes. The accompanying card said, "I just wanted you to know how I would feel if you said no." Tackle smooth. Oh, that is great. Something like this. Read the next one. Over the past 50 years, the family has come to recognize that long-eared, sad-eyed expression on Dad's face, which frequently appears in response to Mom saying something like, "Hey, I have a great idea. Let's cut out a huge chunk of the solid granite hill on the side of our house with a little jackhammer, a tiny wheelbarrow, and our teetering sanity, so we can put a shed there. Doesn't that sound like fun?" It's like looking in the mirror, huh, Dad?
That was only 50 years ago.
So here we are, 50 years later. Those fun, humble beginnings have become rooted in the metaphoric solid granite, where Stan and Arva have made quite the incredible life together. As newlyweds, they lived in Pocatello, Idaho. And in July of 1966, they had their firstborn, Garrett, or as he is known by his siblings, the Fave. Garrett is perfect in every way, without flaw, and later on tonight, he's going to walk on waterfalls. In biblical times, the firstborn inherited the most prized birthright, and being a Christian family who adheres to the Bible, we have all agreed when the time comes, Garrett gets to have the show. Including the bag of snail bait from 1986 that's still in there. In 1970, Stan started working for JCPenney, and Mom and Dad purchased their first home. But in February, just a short time after moving to Salt Lake City, I did? 68. Right. Surprised I didn't get a cake in the Rewind, 1968, Salt Lake City. That was their next great adventure. And like the pioneers who arrived so many years before, Mom proclaimed, "This is the place where we're going to have our second child." And in December of 1968, they introduced Diana Lynn to the world. Garrett, the perfect, hadn't met Diana yet, but discovered her in her crib, took her out, walked across the neighbor's pond, and carried her to my parents to show them what he had found. Diana, also known as the smart one, or Einstein's mentor, was speaking in partial sentences after 2 full days of life. At least that's the way my mom tells it. And thanks, Garrett, for bringing her to Mom because she was ready to be changed. And now we are in 1970, where Dad just started to work for JCPenney, bought their first home, and a short time after that, the growing family moved to Elko, Nevada. That's right, you heard me. Elko. Metropolis, Nevada. You know, the town you pass through while on your way to somewhere else and wonder, who in the world lives here? And on September 20th, 1971, with an audience of 2 chickens and a llama, their third child, Mark, was born. Mark, also known as the short one, the one with lots of character, has since enjoyed bragging of being the bad boy from Elko, who lived off little more than goat's milk and tumbleweed taffy. Upon hearing where Mark was born, the typical reaction is something like, that explains a few things. In 1973, the winds of change blew the burgeoning brood from Elko to Rapid City, South Dakota. Stan had a new job and wanted a new child to go with it. At the peak of his wares, being the strapping, virile breadwinner he was, in April of 1975, Stan stood at the top of his human pyramid and cheered Arva Lynn on to their 4th and last child, Debbie. Debbie, also known as the spoiled rotten baby who got everything none of the rest of us got, vehemently insists that because her hometown is in South Dakota, she should be showered with Black Hills Gold with frequent regularity. Mark gets tumbleweeds and goat milk. Debbie gets Mount Rushmore and Black Hills Gold. Is there any wonder where the spoiled rotten all started? Debbie's hometown wasn't home for long because 3 weeks after her birth, another job change took the family to sunny California. In 1975, the family made the migration that has lasted 39 years and counting to sunny Northern California, where by plan or by happenstance, the Stanley and Arlen Spicer family was now at full generational capacity. For those of you taking notes, you will have realized that each new state had a new child. Came with a new child, but in this case, California's destiny was not to bring new children to our dynamic duo. It was to be home base for 4 extended children and 14 wonderful grandchildren. It was an inauspicious start in California, starting in South Sacramento, a part of town that bred an appreciation for vast cultural diversity. A few memorable events from South Sac included Diana being chased home by the class bully, waking up to find the back window of the wood-paneled station wagon shot out, and Mark setting the playground across the street on fire, which Mom and Dad, I think, are hearing about for the first time. It's been 37 years. I think the statute of limitations on this.
out.
And they have to catch me. The time in South Sacramento was short-lived, followed by moves to College Greens, the Reed Courthouse, and subsequently to Folsom, where our sages have recently recovered from yet another failed attempt to turn their home into an ark. Mom and Dad have been the unfortunate victims of 2 water line breakages which have flooded their front house twice now, right? It wasn't the third time they didn't tell us about it. But they have done a great job with reconstruction and the house looks great. With 39 years of history in California, we have a bunch of inspirational, humorous, uplifting, and enlightening stories and anecdotes to share. But we'll save that for just a bit later. For now, let's do a quick recap.
All right, now as the one who is the favorite and walks on water, I get to I get the honor of starting a few fun stories for you. Now, some of these have become urban legends in our household, and this first one is a classic. So, I was probably the ripe old age of 12, maybe 11, and we were living at Reed Court, and we had some interesting neighbors. These neighbors, well, let me just kind of paint a picture for you. You know when you want to take a noxious weed out of the ground, what do you typically do? You pull it, or you go get a shovel and just dig out the root. Well, this particular family thought the best way to get rid of their noxious weeds was to, it happened to be their entire front yard, by the way, douse it with gasoline and throw a match on. And the whole thing went up, and every fire department was called, and basically every neighbor ran for their lives. It was quite the event. Well, just so happened on this particular occasion, I was outside, Debbie was outside, and I don't remember who else was there. There were several of us kids playing in the court. It was a cul-de-sac, and but Debbie was riding a big wheel. Now, everybody in this room, except those of you younger than the age of Debbie, probably know what a big wheel is, right? A big wheel is nothing more than a glorified trike, except it was plastic, and it was a whole lot cooler because it had a big wheel. So Debbie had riding on the big wheel, and one of the kids from this particular house thought it was her turn to ride the big wheel, and went over there and took it away from my sister. Well, I'm the favorite walk-on-water brother. I'm going to take care of my little sister who's spoiled rotten. Okay? So I walk over and take the big wheel back. Well, when I took the big wheel back, she decided to take a swing at me. And I ducked and I swung back and happened to hit her. And she went running into her house, and all the rest of us went running into our house. And shortly thereafter, the mom came over and rang the doorbell and my mom walked out, and she started screaming at my mom. Now, this was kind of a normal thing. We found out later that she did this to several neighbors, screamed at them. And anyway,
But usually not after you had hit their dog.
yes, that's true. So you know, there's a valuable lesson that was about to be learned here. Debbie ran out of the house, and my mom picked her up. And this lady happened to look at Debbie and say, "This rotten one," and hit her. Oh, yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Thank you. That's the reaction I'm looking for. Oh my gosh. Well, by this time, all of us kids are out there. We're all doing the same thing. Our mouths are on the ground, right? Well, we learned really fast that my mom had our back. Why? Because she smacked this lady back. Yep, and all of us kids were never afraid again. We were in good shape. Yeah, we never messed with mom again after that either.
Well, listen, speaking of having our back, forgot what I was going to say.
Somebody has your back.
Yeah, good to know that. It wasn't you. Well, here's the thing. I've got to clear something up real quick. Here, plug yours.
What?
Plug yours. Well,
I can still hear
in
you.
your ears.
Huh?
We let Garrett think he's the favorite. It's not true. It's Debbie. So, So speaking of our parents having our back, I, when I was younger, took a trip with a few of my friends to San Francisco. And I thought I could make a U-turn, and I couldn't. And I hit a curb, and I threw the alignment out of the car, and I drove all the way home with it that way, and the tires were shot by the time I got home. I was in college. I didn't know anything. I was dumb. Took the car into the tire shop, and they took it. They put it up on the rack. Yeah, you know, tell them something I don't know. Your tires are already shot. They got pieces of metal hanging out of them. It wasn't too hard to figure out that there was something wrong with them. But they said they couldn't give me the car back because it was illegal for them to give me the car that had tires in that bad condition. So I had to buy their tires, or they would not give me my car back. I didn't know what to do. So I called home, and Dad was there. He said, "I'll be right down." And Dad comes down, and he starts talking to the guy, and the guy's just insistent that he's not going to give the car back. And Dad, most of you know Dad as this kind, gentle teddy bear of a man, and he is, right up until the point where he's not. And I don't know if you remember this, Dad, but he, just like that, he got in this guy's grill pretty good, and he told him what was what, and sooner than I knew it, I was going to jump across the table and strangle the counter and strangle him, but the guy really quickly decided that he better go ahead and give me that car. And so sooner than I knew it, it was out off the lift, and I was driving home with the steering wheel turned like this, and the car went straight. But of course, then Dad helped me get it all taken care of after that too. So.
Okay, so my story also pertains to my dad getting what he wants. And I thought we would have this picture displayed so you can get a better scope of what I'm going to tell you about. So my mom was looking to have a family portrait updated because Denise was part of the family now, so we have another family member, and so this is back in good old 1989, and so we get all together, and well, actually, so we all got together, got ready for this family portrait, and as we are in the cars getting ready to leave, we are backing out, and Dad stops the car. He says, "We forgot a family member," and he looks over. Sorry, I'm not a microphone. He looks over and he sees our cat Metro walking along the driveway. And he puts the car back in park, gets out of the car, picks up the cat, puts it in the car. We all looked at him and said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Why not?" So my mom, I think, just kind of shook her head. We all laughed a little bit. So we show the Olin Mills Portrait Studio. I think everyone here has their family portrait there. So we show up, and the photographer saw we had a cat. He said, "We actually have a day set aside for pets if you want to have your pet in your family picture." And here we are. We got a cat. We didn't bring a cat carrier because he just got put in the car. So Dad was actually not aggressive and got into this guy's business, but he used more of a smooth kind of charming kind of way, and we got the cat in our family picture. Okay, that was okay. So Debbie's not the favorite and Garrett's not the favorite. It's actually me.
Yes, it is true. We really try to be the favorites. Never works.
So I was about 14, and I had a friend of mine who was having a slumber party. I was so excited because it was going to be at the beach. Her family was renting a beach house, and she was invited 5 or 6 people to go up and go to the slumber party at this beach house. And I wanted to go so bad. There was one problem. It was a Saturday night to Sunday party. And growing up in our house, we didn't do Saturday night to Sunday parties. We had to go to church on Sunday, and it was very important to my parents, and it was important to me eventually. Not at 14, but it was important to me eventually. But I asked my mom anyway. And this is the first time she gave me this line. I don't think I've given it to my kids yet. "I'm going to let you make this decision. but I think you know what the right choice should be. And being the good girl that I was, I did make the choice to stay home. You know how they say that when you make the right choice, you're supposed to get this warm, fuzzy feeling in your heart. You're supposed to feel so good. I did not. There was no warm fuzzies. I was a very mad 14-year-old teenager. And I was actually out washing the car, because before you get your license, washing the car is fun. After you get your license and your parents say, if you want to drive, you have to wash the car, it's not fun anymore. So I was out washing the car, and Dad came out to me and he said, how about if we go for a ride? And my dad does like to do that. He just likes to go for a drive. Nowhere in particular, just drive. And being the mad 14-year-old girl, I thought, I do not want to get in a car and go for a drive. But he looked at me and he said, I thought we'd go see if we could find a big empty parking lot somewhere and I'll teach you how to drive. And so my mood went from 6 feet under to up to the moon. I was so happy. So it was the best choice I made. It was the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for me to learn how to drive, and I have been terrorizing the highways and byways since.
How old were you when Dad said he'd teach you how to drive?
14. I don't think you got that.
You were definitely the favorite.
Hey, hang on. It's just so everybody understands, yes, my dad taught us all how to drive per se, but it has come down to this, and that is, I just want my dad to know that my insurance agent called me last week, and I now have to have you on my policy because every time you drive one of my cars, something happens really bad. I have 3 cars that he's run all of them in this. In fact, he did 2 of them at one time. He got a 2-for-1 deal with that one. So you're totally covered now, Dad. You can drive my cars, your name's on the policy, we're okay.
Well, now, hang on a minute. Payback hurts, right? How many of his cars did you smash up?
Well,
Because I had to drive those cars after you smashed them up.
yeah, that was a special treat just for you. Well, speaking of, my dad, everybody knows my mom, right? And I was about 17 years old, and I really, really wanted a waterbed. Back then, waterbeds were cool, okay? Not so cool now, but they were cool then. And if anybody's been around my mom long enough, there's moments when you're around my mom, you go, when she's talking, you go, Mom, or you go, Mom, or you go, Mom, oh, Mom. And so she wanted to help me get this waterbed. I was buying it with my own money, so she couldn't say no, because it was mine, so I was going to go buy this waterbed. Well, we went to the store to go look at a waterbed, and all I have to say is I was really grateful my mom was there with me. Why? Because I know I got the very best deal on the planet, but I felt really bad for the guy that was helping me.
I had a story about mom.
My father. How about you on this microphone, Mom?
I get selling everything you do.
I have a really good mom story. It illustrates my favorite point. We were left home alone. Mom and Dad had gone out, so it was just us kids. And Garrett, being the oldest, thought he was in charge and was very vocal about the fact that he was in charge. And
I still like to be in charge.
I was not happy about that. So you were not in charge. You may have been older, but I was more mature. So I was the one that should have been in charge.
And that's still the case today.
So Garrett was handing out chores. They had given us the assignment, we need to clean the kitchen before they got home. So he was handing out chores, and I'd already done some work, but he decided that I needed to load the dishwasher. And that was, I had hit my limit. I had done my share, I was not going to load the dishwasher. I even looked at him and I said, you are not the boss of me. And I was holding the silverware holder for the dishwasher, and I threw it. And it hit the inside of the door of the dishwasher and left this nice round hole, this big. And Mom came home. I don't remember telling her my story, but I'm sure I did because I know she noticed the dishwasher. But after all was settled, she looked at me and she said, that little temper tantrum cost us a lot of money. And evidently Garrett provoked you. So fast forward 30 years, and I have two sons, Cameron and Jason, who are over here. And Cameron is older and decided that he was the boss, and Jason decided he was not the boss. And Jason got really mad and kicked the closet door and put a nice little hole in the closet door. And thanks to Mom's example, I knew exactly what to say.
Sometimes when I'm unhappy, a little upset with my wife, I arrange a scenario for me and Shannon, my wife, and my mom to be in the same room together, and I bring up politics. And then I walk out of the room.
So I'm not quite sure where to lead from that. But, so, my little story begins from, we as a family drove to Idaho countless times. My whole entire life, my existence, we did Idaho trips. So, we, on this particular trip, we were driving to Idaho, and we were kind of in the middle of Nevada. It was time to gas up, get some lunch, we were hungry. So we pull in, and maybe Elko, I can't recall, but my mom was, I think, thinking of time savings. She said, Stan, drop us off at the grocery store. We're gonna buy some sandwiches and some snacks, and while you go gas up the car, come back, pick us up. So, drops us off, he goes get gas, comes back to pick us up, and when we get back in the car, my mom sees like 3 hot dogs sitting on the car seat. She sees these hot dogs and says, why did you buy hot dogs? She was just in shock because here we just went to the grocery store to get plenty of food for everybody. So in my dad's kind of innocent little way of thinking, he basically says, well, when I saw the hot dogs, they look like something yummy to share. And so at that point, that was the last thing my mom felt like eating was a hot dog, and now here we had way too much food in the car, she felt like. So, as we get back in the car, we start to go. He's getting ready to pull onto the freeway, and right there on the on-ramp, he actually starts to pull over, and he stops. And I'm thinking, why are we stopping? And the next thing I see is this hitchhiker running up to our car, and I think, what are you doing? Why? You're picking up a hitchhiker? What are you doing? So he rolls my mom's window down, and the hitchhiker gets to the window, and he's looking in, and my dad said, hey, can't give you a ride, but how about some hot dogs? And I can tell you that hitchhiker was not expecting that at all. So he kind of said, sure. And so he gave him all 3 hot dogs, and we took off.
So just real quick, speaking of sharing, my dad, we just went on a trip with my folks, and we were back in Illinois, and my dad loves to share things, right? So he runs, we just fell in with gas, we're getting out of the car, my dad's running back into the gas station, I'm gonna get some candy bars for everybody to have. And so he gets the candy bars, and he put back in the car, and I notice he has 2 candy bars, and there's 7 people in the car. So he decides, or what he does is he loves to share. So he opens the first candy bar, and they happen to be Baby Ruths. Why? Because my dad loves Baby Ruth candy bars. Well, I don't know the last time you tried to cut up a Baby Ruth with your fingers. But it was interesting to watch my dad pass back handfuls of candy bars to the grandkids. Here, anybody want a candy bar?
So speaking of Dad, another little story. He is, like we said before, Dad is a kind, caring, wonderful man. And growing up, they didn't really yell at us. He never really got angry. In fact, there are only 2 scenarios that I can think of where he would lose his temper. First one was if we were in any way disrespectful to my mother. If he thought that we crossed a line, that was it. As the favorite, I never did that. I can't say that about the 2 boys sitting up here, but I know I did, but I don't think I did.
I will never again.
So the second was if he felt like we were wasting electricity. In fact, every morning, winter or summer, it didn't matter what season it was, if we were running either the air conditioner or the heater, you'd get up, we'd shut the vents in the bedrooms and the bathrooms, close all those doors so that we were not heating or cooling rooms that we were not using. We didn't have TVs in our rooms or phones or PlayStations or anything else. And so we weren't in those rooms, so they did not need to be used. So all of us are sitting in the family room, and down the hall you hear this slam, 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 slam. And it wasn't a quiet, it was a slam. It was a 14-year-old angry girl slam. And my mom looked at us, and she said, "Did you hear that? 3 doors got left open." And everyone in that room looked at her, looked at each other, and looked at her and said, 4. And so we all started busting up laughing, and my dad walked down that hall, and he was not happy to see us laughing. He had found that the doors open when they should have been closed.
Well, Dad definitely has two sides to his temperament. I think 99.9% of the time it's that cool, easy, laid-back demeanor that we're all familiar with. But back in high school, I tested those limits quite frequently. Actually, not that frequently. I was a pretty good kid, right?
As long as you're paying the bills.
Your favorite's paying the bill. Which means Don's paying the bill. Oh, no, but I remember we took my best friend, Jeff Broussard, and I, we liked to go down and go to the ocean as much as we could. And we decided one day we wanted to go to Santa Cruz. We didn't think there was any way that our parents would say yes, so we didn't ask. We just went. What? Mom just gave me a look. I think it was a look, are you sure you want to share this story? You might find some things gone out of your house when you get there. So anyway, we did. We went. We didn't think too much about the consequences. We had a nice day, but of course on the drive home, we realized that we probably were going to be in trouble. A little bit of trouble when we got there. So we got there. I was late. It's probably, I don't know, 10, 11 at night. And I was, we came to find out that, they'd called the police and they were out looking for us. And I don't know if they were or not, but that's what they told us, maybe to scare us. I don't know, was that true? No. I don't remember. Don't laugh. So we get back and Dad's coming to pick me up. And I'm waiting outside, out front of the house. And I'm pretty scared. I didn't know which dad I was going to get. And so he pulled up and I got in the car and I got the good dad, which is why I'm still standing here and able to tell you the story. And I remember he just asked me, he said, what were you thinking? Like, he didn't say much more. I tried to explain myself a little bit. I don't think I couldn't say anything. I was wrong and I knew it. And he was really kind, and he, was trying to help me understand that kids do stupid things, and I was stupid. No, I'm just kidding. But so we pull up to the house, and we're getting out of the car, and Dad says, "Now, your mother might be a little more upset than I am, so be ready." And I walked to my room, and my mom walked past me in silence, and I had a coat hanger and a rock for a pillow left in my room. We had cleaned it out, and no pants either.
Well, some of us got a little more mischievous when we were younger. So when I was about 6 or 7 years old, we were living in Elko, Nevada. Yes, Elko. How many people recognize the name? Oh, only one? Mark? Got it. So,
Everybody knows Elko. It's where they stop for gas.
they don't know the name of it. So anyway, we were living in Elko, and at the time, right behind our house was nothing but a big open field. And this big open field was a great place for a 6 and 7 year old to play. And I was playing with a little friend of mine, and we were playing Army. Now, for all of you girls, right, Army's kind of like playing with dolls for girls, right? So you got to have everything set up just right when you're playing with your dolls. You got to have your clothes and your tea sets, and every doll has a name. Well, for guys, right, when you play Army, you got to have your little Army men and your Jeep and your toy guns and fire. Army is not the same without fire. And so, as a kid, we're back in Elko, and I'm sitting there with my Army men playing, and I thought it'd be really cool to start a fire and see if I could escape, the Jeep could escape the fire. Well, the Jeep didn't escape the fire, and the whole field went up. And I remember trying to do what a 6 or 7 year old kid would do, and that is deny all responsibility by chucking the matches on the roof, trying to get rid of them. And well, you know, moms are bloodhounds, right? They know exactly what's going on at all times. Well, my mom found out who started the fire. And so as punishment, right, she is taking me down to the fire department. And all the way down there, she's telling me, I am in trouble. I'm toast. These firemen are going to let me have it, and you are going to understand how what you did was totally wrong. And as soon as we get there, right, we pull in, and what my mom tells me, and I still can remember playing on the fire trucks, because as soon as we got there, it was like, woohoo, this is great. And I'm climbing all over the fire trucks, and it turned into the best play date ever. It was awesome. And to this day, I think my mom still resents those fire guys. That fire department is a bad fire department. It didn't teach me anything other than the fact that fire trucks are really cool. Well, that's the end of the stories, and we've got a lot. There's so many more we could tell. It was funny because as we were sitting here, I think it's been more fun for the four of us because we've had a chance to sit down together and really think about things. And I literally wrote, I don't know how many stories out. It's fun how you bring back a lot of memories from when you were a kid. But what's great about it all is how awesome it was to grow up in our home. You know, we have amazing parents, and thank you, all of you, for supporting them and us as a family. Really appreciate it. Got a couple more just little fun items for you, and I think we're going to turn the time over to daughter.
Yes.
Nice.
So my two daughters, where are they? Annalise, come here. And Karina. These two beautiful girls. One has 15-year-old anger issues like Diana. It didn't come from me, it came from her. They've got a couple of musical numbers that they prepared, mostly for mom and dad, but for everybody. And so I'm going to turn the microphone over to them. I need to come over here and turn this on. Here it goes.
Well, he walked up to me and he asked me if I wanted to dance. He looked kinda nice, so I said I might take a chance. When we danced, he held me tight, and when he walked me home tonight, and all the stars were shining bright, and then he kissed me. The time I saw, I couldn't wait to see him again. today, so I can't say the words. How your eyes close whenever you kiss me, and when I'm away from you, I love how you miss me. I love the way you always treat me tenderly, but darling, most of all, I love how you love me. I love how your heart beats whenever I hold you. I love how you think of me without being told to. I love the way you always touch me heavenly. But darling, most of all, I love how you love me. I love how your eyes close whenever you kiss me. And when I'm away from you, I love how you miss me. I love the way you always treat me tenderly. But darling, most of all, I love how you love me. I love the way you always treat me tenderly. But darling, most of all, I love how you love me.
Well, one last story, and then we'll close this. When I was fresh out of high school, and I thought I knew everything, and I was getting ready to go to school, Diana alluded to this earlier. I was in the kitchen with my mom, and my dad was in his classic Saturday position, sitting on the floor with his back against the couch, reading a paper. And I thought I needed something, wanted something, or I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was, I was pretty passionate about it. And so my voice kind of got a little louder, and my excitement got a little bit more and more and more. And at some point, my dad put the paper down and started to talk. And when I looked over at him, his face alone pretty much ended my excitement. And he said something to the effect that if you ever talk to your mother that way again, you'll wish you'd never been born. And the translation at the time was probably, I'm going to rip your lips off or something. But the point was is that, you know, we always knew as kids who was number one in my dad's life, and that was Mom. And he didn't have to say it very often. You just saw it, and every day and everything they always did. And so it's this very special home to grow up in, just because of how great it was, the love that we had in our home. In fact, I tell people all the time, you know, as a kid we were very blinded. I never, literally in the 18 years I lived at home as a kid, I never saw my parents argue in front of me or fight. I never heard my dad once raise his voice to my mom. Now, as I've gotten older, I realize they've had their share of issues just like we all do. But they chose to do it behind closed doors or not in front of us kids. And so we always just knew in our home what love meant. And they were just a great example of it. So with that, can I have all you grandkids come up here with me? And my brothers and sisters too. Now, unfortunately, we're missing two, and they happen to be mine. They're the old ones now. My oldest daughter is married, has got, unfortunately, too many commitments, as well as my son. But, you know, this is my parents' legacy. And it's a great one. You know, when we were kids, you know, my parents moved away from Idaho, Pocatello, Idaho, 50 years, almost 50 years ago. And they started their lives together. And as kids, us 4 kids, our family vacation was back to Idaho. So we always knew our grandparents and our aunts and uncles and cousins. That's who we knew. And that's where we spent our special time was with them. And family has always been basically the cornerstone of my parents' lives. And you know, that within that cornerstone, however, we always knew where their loyalties lie, because that cornerstone, the glue that kept us all together, was their faith in Christ. And that faith in Christ rolled over into their hard work and determination and getting through tough times in life. And we always saw that, and we counted on it as kids, and we count on it today as a family. And we know where we can turn in difficult times. Not only to them, but also to a loving Father in heaven, who's honestly a testament to my folks and what they've been able to do in their own marriage. And it will stand as a testament to the world of what we've been able to accomplish, what they've accomplished here in this life. And you know, as kids, I think we can honestly say, Mom and Dad, you might just make it one more year. We love you, and thanks for all that you've ever done for us. And this night, hopefully you've enjoyed it, because we've certainly enjoyed doing this for you. And thanks to all the family and friends who've come to enjoy this with us. Okay, that's the end, so you guys can all enjoy each other's company.
Actually, before it's the end, I'm going to give the microphone to Dad. So the dad can have a minute. Would you like that, Dad?
Thanks for coming. This has been quite a night. Will we make one more year? Well, that's off the cake. It's just a thrill to see all of your faces. And we were sitting here at that table looking at all of you and thinking to ourselves, you are the dearest, most wonderful people in our lives. And you don't realize what you mean to us. And it's just been a wonderful experience. Thank you for coming. Thanks, Bucky, to these kids for all that they've done. And Mark, I'm so glad you didn't ask for my credit card.
The night's not over, Dad.
Say goodnight.
Say goodnight, Arlen.
Don't want to go at the house, you can go swimming.
This party going.
Well, it's been a long night. Thanks for your patience.
I want to thank my family for coming. All my brothers and sisters are here, and it's the first time in the 40 years we've been in California that they've all been here. So a special thank you to my brothers and sisters who have come from Illinois and Utah and Idaho. And a special thanks. I know this has been hours and hours and hours and hours, so.
You're worth it. If you make it to 100 years, we'll do it again.
Mark's going to do it again.
Hey, just real quick before everybody leaves, if you did write something on the cards, go ahead and leave them on the tables. We're going to pick them up.
This is my friend Hannah.
And thanks again, everybody, for coming. You're welcome to stay and mingle or leave. And
Come on.
She does Christinian.
Or not.
Hi, Sadie. I don't think I said hi to you before. Sorry, I was very distracted today. I had to speak in public.
To Idaho. Come on, let's go. Let's choo to Idaho. So, Mr. Engineer, let's hear that whistle blow to let 'em know we're on our way to Idaho. Hey there, fella, soon we'll be in Pocatello, then Sun Valley. According to Moran McNally, tell the folks back home and shine.
How lucky can one guy be? I kissed her and she kissed me. Like the fella once said, ain't that a kick in the head? The room was completely black. I hugged her and she hugged back. Like the sailor said, quote, ain't that a hole in the boat? My head keeps spinning, I go to sleep and keep grinning. If this is just the beginning, my life is gonna be beautiful. I've sunshine enough to spread. It's just like the fella said. Tell me quick, ain't love a kick in the head? The fellow once said, ain't that a kick in the head? Like the sailor said, quote, ain't that a hole in a boat? My head keeps spinning, I go to sleep and keep grinning. If this is just the beginning, my life is gonna be beautiful. She's telling me we'll be wed. She's picked out a king-size bed. I couldn't feel any better or I'd be sick. Tell me quick, oh, ain't love a kick? Tell me quick, ain't love a kick in the head?
We are family. Men, how many times has this happened to you?
Me. You know, our babies sleep really, really good.
Or this.
Make sure Timmy wears the blue shirt. If he doesn't...
Or even this.
And for my birthday, which is next month, I'd really like some of this.
Do you have trouble listening or retaining information from your wife? You could be suffering from spousal selective listening, or SSL. With SSL, valuable input is intercepted or scrambled before it reaches the critical learning center of the man brain. Virtually anything can trigger it, like sports, food, even shiny objects with buttons. Fortunately, there is help with Heritol. Containing a rare root with an exotic name, Heritol helps men focus and listen to valuable female input, even pick up on those subtle hints.
These are exactly the earrings I wanted. How did you know?
Thanks, Heritol. Now I can hear it all.
Heritol has not been tested or approved by any regulatory agency. Side effects with Heritol include minor to severe headaches and spontaneous combustion. Use caution when using Heritol near mothers-in-law, as you may hear hurtful comments that would have previously been ignored. Heritol is an enhancement drug. Do not use around children or clusters of talkative old blue-haired women. If focused listening lasts longer than 4 hours, consult your doctor immediately before your wife assumes this is a new standard in your relationship. Men with wives who are nursing or pregnant should not take this product. Heritol, the preferred selection or solution for selective hearing.
You got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. Baby, you've got a friend in me. You got a pal in me. You've got a friend in me. You got your troubles, well, I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together and see it through, 'cause you got a friend in me. Darling, you've got a friend in me. Now some of the boys might be a little smarter than I am, or bigger and stronger too, maybe, but none of them is ever gonna love you the way I do. Oh, it's me and you, Lou, and as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's a destiny, 'cause you've got a friend in me. My baby, you've got a friend in me. Let's go! Now some of the boys might be a little smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe. None of them is ever gonna love you the way I do, 'cause it's me and you. And as the years go by, our love will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. Baby, you've got a friend in me. You, me, and me. You got a friend in me. My darling, you got a friend in me.